Welcome to the 47th video in the series, Foundations of Communist Organizing. Today we'll be going over the 1964 piece by Enver Hoxha, How We Should Understand Criticism and Self-Criticism. As stated, I added this in the previous video. I added this in order to get a feel for how, in this case, an out-and-out explicitly calls himself a Stalinist. Stalinist describes how criticism and self-criticism is supposed to be presented. I unfortunately don't have a link to this because I found it in a series, in a giant 600-page book of speeches by Hoxha. It was linked to me at somebody's suggestion, but I don't have a PDF version of it. As usual, in the description below, you'll find a link to the United Marxist Pact Discord server. And if you would like to join that, and if you want a copy of this PDF, I can send it over to you, or rather a download, because that's what it would be. Okay. Continuing, I've subtitled this non-punitive dialogue. This transforms individuals, strengthens proletarian solidarity. Let's get into it. In criticism and self-criticism, it must be remembered that the aim is not to harm or attack, but to mutually improve the whole through rigorous education and address of internal problematic elements. The party should be the prefiguration of communist society, and members are embedded within a bourgeois society. Ergo, consciousness will always trend towards bourgeois consciousness. Therefore, we cannot focus on individuals with our criticism, but on the definite trend of thought that exists within all of us. As such, it should be in a comradely, revolutionary pedagogical manner seeking to help improve a friend, not as a condemner. Beyond merely being in a revolutionary methodology, it needs to be done in the proper tone. 1. It should be collectively educative, speaking to the whole, and ideally not naming names, who certainly have at least traces of this mentality. 2. It should not be harmful to the person being criticized, but helpful, addressing the central origination of thought as well as a particular expression of it. And 3. It should have conclusions about more correct ways of thinking for the whole of the party, not merely individualized condemnations. The critic themselves should not be an individual criticizing based on their personal views, but rather based on the developing party's principles and program, maintaining partisanship, modesty, cool-headedness, and adherence to facts and logic, and be ideologically mature and have experience carrying out proper Marxist criticism. These are skills one learns, and do not come pre-installed within any individual, if an individual can even carry them out in the first place. Criticism ideally comes through the party organs, and through its propaganda publication, not through individuals. In order for criticism and self-criticism to be effective, freedom of speech and expression without punishment is necessary within the party so that people are comfortable with talking about their failures and issues, and so people are comfortable addressing even, especially, their leaders. The party needs to be a place that people trust will not condemn them without warrant, and will give the proper guidance on how to engage with their struggles, rather than driving them out and attacking them. The goal being improvement of the self and the collective, not punishment through incorrect thought. To that end, criticism and self-criticism are only the first steps, to be followed with a coherent plan of action by the party, discharging orders which will result in better thought processes. For example, demanding that the person attend sessions engaging a particular text, wherein the party essentially acts as the continued therapist for the individual and, through that, the collective. I just want to do a quick side note. One of the major things that happened and was problematic within the USSR under Khrushchev period and after is the use of therapists in an aggressive manner in order to effectively suppress dissent. There's an entire book on that. I can't remember its name. Never mind. I think it was a chapter in a book that I had read, but there is definite use of psychiatry as a method of social control within the party. So this has to be done with carefully. Let's just put it that way. Continuing. If the party simply demands self-criticism while carrying out lazy criticism with no follow-up to make sure the discharge orders are completed in and through the party, then the individual will only fail, and following any struggle session, the party and membership need to be closer than ever to guide improvement. Improper criticism and self-criticism will lead to defensive people who reject the guidance of the party, doing more harm than good. However, criticism and self-criticism must also recognize the weaknesses of itself. There are some who cannot handle it, or are too savvy with it. There are honest people who make mistakes, but are not in a position or capable of deep analysis, or are unable to express their analysis fluently. It can only hurt if we continually demand a deeper analysis, under the false belief that they have concealed things when they haven't. There are also bad faith, dishonest people who are skilled at lying and speechcraft, and successfully fool people with brilliant expressions of speechcraft, but have not actually addressed the issues and used criticism and self-criticism as a way to avoid being taken to task. Those who admit to harming the party with intent, or who demonstrate themselves to be in bad faith, cannot be shielded by freedom of speech or through criticism and self-criticism, as those are reserved for those who are not bad actors. Hence, we must keep an eye out on people doing both criticism and self-criticism, and look principally at actions taken, rather than mere words. This view should not be merely done at specific meetings, or when mistakes are made, but constantly, with freedom of speech without limitation in places of work, and expression directed towards superior without fear of mistake. This continual analysis is necessary to combat holdovers of class society, such as arrogance, conceit, bureaucracy, servility, fear of superiors, and fear of revenge and uncomradeliness. Superiors should listen attentively to criticism and engage in self-criticism without hesitation. And that is my summary of Hosha's How We Should Understand Criticism and Self-Criticism. As usual, if you'd like to go through the quotations I derived this summary from, you can go into the description below and you will find both this Google document and, of course, as noted previously, a link to the United Marxist Pact Discord server. Tomorrow, we will be going over the 1964 piece by the ICP, Notes for the Theses on the Question of Organization. Thank you for joining me for today's topical summary, and I hope to see you then.